We'll call this meeting the Wayne County Commissioners. Order any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Unanimous.
I move to pay the claims of 513.
Second.
Okay, unanimous. While we're signing that, we'll kind of move on because we have a full agenda this morning. Ron?
Got it corrected, ordinance 2020-004, the ordinance approving the fee schedule presented by the president with the recommendation of the Health Department Board. And I think the one change that I didn't have on mine, which was, actually I found out it came from the one you sent me by the email, was the increased fee for the birth certificate.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for time to review that. After having the week to go over these, I think they're very reasonable and they do not impose any additional burden upon those restaurants that have suffered these last 2 months. While it would be nice to waive all fees, that we certainly incur a lot of expense in those restaurant inspections. The fees are very comparable to what we experience in other cities and other counties in the area. In fact, I think they're quite prudent. And so I would like to move for approval of ordinance number 2020-04, updating the fee structure for the Department of Public Health.
Second.
Unanimous.
There's 3 originals there, I believe, so it would give Health Department 1 and Auditor 1. We have. I think I have for you, at least I'm pretty sure I do, a final draft agreement of the maintenance of the Elder Dearman building. The only issue that might merit some discussion, which is really not an issue that is embodied in our maintenance agreement, but is a corollary agreement between the city and the EDC as to its fundamental transfer of title from EDC to city, lease back from the city to the EDC as tenant with the option to purchase, just like we do with our industrial park properties. And that is, and we're being optimistic here, obviously, in the unlikely event, well, I would say in the event, I won't editorialize whether it's unlikely or not, that we receive monies upon the ultimate disposition of the Elder Dearman building in excess of the monies that have been expended or would have been expended by the consolidated edit, by the city of Richmond, if any, during its period of ownership, and or by the EDC. Those excess monies need to be distributed in some form or fashion. Consensus among the mayor's preference and at least that of President of Council, Mr. Plaster, and at least 2 EDC commissioners that I've heard from, is that go back to consolidated edit. That's what the mayor requests, and that would be part of their agreement, not ours. Hopefully we'll have that problem and say, well, maybe that wasn't right.
Sounds good. Yeah, hope we do.
We're going to have a boom.
I would move that we honor that request.
So the agreement is here. I've got it. Actually, I think we have 4 copies. It's the city, EDC, county, and auditor probably each got the originals.
That's designating Amy as the new contact at the county
Oh,
engineer's
okay.
office. That's what that is.
Okay.
These are signed, Ron.
I just disinfected my
Start the
hands
other
before I
direction.
came.
Get this to me and I'll get the auditor and pass it around. Thank you.
I move to approve the agreement for maintenance of the former Elder Beerman building.
The other change that was put in at the request of council that I didn't mention was that there's a cap on the annual county contribution, and that a cap is $52,500, and we're currently expending at the rate of about $45,000 a year.
Okay.
That should be adequate. If not, we could always amend it.
Now we'll have to deal with the issue that's come up.
With that, I will second that amendment.
Unanimous.
Now, as I sign this contact for Amy, when we were between county engineers the last time, we did increase Amy's compensation while she was the acting engineer. We have not had any discussion about that. However, we did not have a contractual engineer serving those needs for the signature and the stamp of an engineer during that time.
That is correct, and I did meet
So
with.
we haven't discussed it. I think we should
Well, I
at
did
least
meet with
address that.
Bob, kind of like on an exit interview type thing. We had several things that we discussed, and that was one. I asked him to give me a recommendation of the additional responsibilities that she would have.
Right.
Just for that reason, so that we could look at it to determine if we need to increase her compensation. And I would tell you also, we did receive yesterday an application for the county engineer
Really?
position, yes.
Ransom, great.
Yeah, I was
That's a good sign.
quite surprised, and believe it or not, the individual lives in Hagerstown, Indiana.
Go figure.
How about that?
He's not the town manager, is he?
No,
No.
he was
Okay.
not. I called Bob last night, and I said, "Do you know this young man?" And he said, "No, I don't." And I said, "Well, he lives in Hagerstown." Oh,
I know him.
do you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's not Denny? I thought maybe Denny was having a second.
Second thought, not retiring, huh?
Florida is
Doing
humid.
his
and
second
I didn't,
job.
I haven't lost my mind now, come on.
While Mary Ann is signing that, Beth gave us a letter that we need to send to Mike Kales at the Indiana Department of Transportation, so designating Amy as our contact, same as we did the last time when we didn't have a county engineer. So Chair would so entertain a motion to send this forward.
So moved.
Second,
Unanimous.
so your conversation with Bob regarding Amy's additional responsibilities, how did that,
It went well, and he's going to get back to me on that and as to what he would suggest on there, and I thanked him very much for that, so.
What did we do the last time?
We increased her
significantly.
salary the last time.
By how much? Do you remember? Was it a percentage?
Well, I haven't had-
20%?
I haven't had a
Well,
chance
let's
to go
take a
back
look
and
at what
check.
we did the last time.
Right.
Because certainly,
We
the
just
precedent
haven't
has been
discussed it.
set, but then I want to make sure we take it to
Oh, yeah.
personnel.
Right, yeah. Okay, Ron, anything else?
Only just to kind of pick up the baton from Steve Higginbotham, we do need to continue to be intentional about what our plan for COVID-19 response, building reopening, what have you. Those plans were, quote, due May 11th, but I know ours is still in a state of flux.
Steve and I met yesterday on that. We are working, I sent you a copy of what DeKalb County
They did.
had done on theirs, which was very simple. What we're working on is going to be far more detailed than what they had on there. Steve and I both have been collecting information and data that FEMA's been providing and that OSHA's been providing.
I
And
prepared plans for our two companies, our firm and our title company, and posted them on the door. They're very one page.
One page, yeah.
You can see.
So I think we'll be able to, we could take actually what DeKalb did, just put Wayne County on top for the moment, but before we bring them back, what we're working on will be far more detailed and
And I think the
complete.
big issue
Yes.
is how you intend to, or at least what I understood to be the undecided issue is how you intend to bring back employees and how that will
That'll work,
correlate with the reopening of the building to the public.
yes, okay.
That's all.
All right, the other thing we have, we referred to this week was the syringe exchange program. We had quite a discussion last week, a lot of input from a lot of different departments on the program, both pro and con. And I think everybody had a good opportunity to express their opinion on that. And we certainly took that under advisement till today's meeting. Chair would so entertain any motion that any member would like to make.
I defer to Mary Ann.
Well, I've been to that syringe exchange service site on numerous occasions since its inception. And while you say we heard arguments on both sides, we had overwhelming arguments from not just our public health professionals, but also Dr. Brad Barrett, our able representative to the Indiana House of Representatives, who co-authored the bill in the House of Representatives that passed unanimously by a vote of 98-0 to extend the county option until July 1st of 2021. And then it went to the Senate and passed with only 7 dissenting votes in that very conservative body. And our Indiana General Assembly certainly gave an overwhelming vote of confidence in the efficacy of syringe exchange programs in reduction of harm. And I certainly think that we should listen to the doctors, listen to our public health professionals who gave an overwhelming testimony last week regarding the value that we have experienced in these past 4 years of our syringe exchange program, not only in the significant reduction in hepatitis C and contributory perhaps in that outbreak we had of hepatitis A and B and HIV, bringing that under control somewhat and being ever vigilant in the spread of disease, but also the extraordinary referrals that we've had to Wayne County's expanded treatment, including residential treatment for substance abuse that we are fortunate to have here in Wayne County today that we did not have at all when we entered into this program 4 years ago. So based upon the importance of listening to the doctors, which I certainly do, and I think we all must today, I move to extend, as recommended by the Health Department, to the maximum allowed by law, as written by Dr. Brad Barrett, to the maximum date of July 1, 2021.
Okay.
I appreciate the concerns of Mike Shipman and all of our law enforcement people who have contacted me about their concerns regarding the program, but I think it comes down to it's an inconvenience for law enforcement. It's life and death for the others. So I second Mary Ann's motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, the other thing in reference to public health, in a discussion we had yesterday with our Executive Director, Christine Stinson. As you know, we have a testing site. We were one of 20 sites that was selected throughout the state of Indiana as a testing site here in Wayne County. That site has been at the National Guard Armory. In discussions with the state, that site has kind of been underutilized, and so we're very concerned about that. And so in discussion with those folks was, well, do we have another site that we thought might be more available, that people could get to easier, that would be more visible to people. So in looking at that and meeting with our health people yesterday, we decided that a good opportunity would be to move that site from the National Guard Armory to the Elder Beerman building. So we have put in place, we went and we looked at Elder Beerman yesterday to see how that would work. Actually, Elder Beerman has a lot of opportunities for us. Not only does that facility, it's certainly more visible. There's plenty of parking there. As you know, that site is open till 8 o'clock in the evening time. And also with the street that runs in front of that, it is a perfect place for a drive-through testing site also. So in conversations I had yesterday with the mayor, in talking with him about that, he was real excited about it. And so we are going to be moving that site on Monday. And at the same time, I know Mary Ann, you've been there, you've been tested through that site. They will do walk-ins. I know they have talked about the fact that you have to call and get an appointment. That's not necessary. If you feel you need to be tested, the site is there. You can walk in, they'll take the information and so on. So I encourage the listening audience, if you have any doubts at all, that's what that site's for. they can test up to 135 people per day. And at this juncture, we've only had about, I think, 40 people that have gone through that whole site over there. And the one thing I've heard from a lot of, well, I need to be tested, I need to be tested. Folks, we have the site, it's free. All you have to do is go to Elder Behrman and you can be tested starting on Monday. So we encourage you to do that. So we have that, and it is.
I have some comment on that.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. President. I have some theories as to why we have underutilized that tremendous resource. One of the reasons I went to get tested was that I wanted to know the kind of experience an individual would have who had been exposed to an individual or might be having mild symptoms, or was perhaps a woman of a certain age, shall we say. And I think it is because of the resistance one gets when calling on the phone. And if you are of a certain age, you might be more likely to dial an 800 number, 888-634-1116. The wait times when you call that 888 number are outrageous, 30 to 45 minutes. And most people will give up. So you go online. When you go online, if you are, shall we say, over 50, 60 years old, the resistance of registering online, they make it really hard to go online. The questions are not just intrusive. The software, you got to be a little bit more sophisticated than most individuals of a certain age. I don't know why they make it so hard. And it takes a long time to do if you are not really computer literate. I think if only LHI didn't try to get so fancy and sophisticated with their software and their registration and making it so hard to make it registration on the phone, they would have had a lot more participation, especially with older people, which I think they really wanted to test a lot of older people. Now, once you get through those barriers to register, getting your results is a nightmare. Number one, they assure you you will get your results in no more than 72 hours. Now, if you're tested on a Wednesday or Thursday, good luck with that, because they do not work weekends. Yeah.
Can I come up?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree that it's not the easiest thing, although I personally had a lovely experience with it. I was tested on a Friday. I started the process of logging on to the website at 10 minutes until 11 because I wanted to go through it just like the public did. And I'm not a whiz kid on the computer, but I was able to navigate through that, got my identification number that you have to take with you when you go over there. And that's an important thing for people to know. Left the health department, which is at 100 South 5th Street, drove to the Armory, which is at 1200 West Main Street, and was out of that office at 11:15. So in 25 minutes, I registered and went over there and got tested. Was an easy process, but
you
I
did that on a
had,
sophisticated computer
I
system
did.
at
I
the
did
office.
it-
I did it on an aging PC
Yeah,
in my home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't try to do it on my phone, so I do know that there are limitations there, and that is a concern for us. But I got my my results, I was tested on Friday, I got them on Mother's Day.
On
My
a
results.
Sunday?
On Sunday, Mother's Day. I
tested on a Thursday and didn't get them till Tuesday.
Yeah. It's a startup, you know, they're bringing all of these online. I applaud ISDH for seeing that it didn't, they wanted to get them to the counties that most needed it. and they felt like Wayne County was underserved with testing abilities, so we were one of the first 20 squeaky wheels someplace to get the oil. So they brought it to us, and it's not being utilized. So they saw that, and so they reached out to us and said, if you can come up with a better place, because these are what were accessible to us, the armories.
I
And-
think their call center is the problem, because I think most people try to do it online, and most people do not want to wait 45 minutes on
Yeah.
an 800 number.
Right, I went down and talked to them yesterday, and they said, yeah, if you're having problems calling in, don't let that be a barrier to being tested. Come down, they'll go ahead and register you right there, and I've told them if that becomes prohibitive for them to be able to do it, because so many people are coming down there, that the health department will ensure there will be someone there to be able to handle the walk-ins that do come in. We still.
Christine, that's why I've told folks, just walk in.
Yeah.
They'll take the data, the information there, and they're
Yeah.
not overly
You don't have
busy.
to have a doctor's order.
No.
People are still confused that they're trying to get an order from their doctor. They do not have to have a doctor's order to get this.
Right.
If you've been identified as a close contact by the health department, or you feel like you've been in close contact, and we're telling people if you've been out and about, you've probably come into contact, that qualifies you for the
Right.
testing.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you very
thank you.
much.
Now, I must say, my experience at the Armory with those people was absolutely perfect.
Good.
I was in and out in 5 minutes. It was absolutely painless. I had a nurse practitioner administer the test.
Right.
I was braced for it being much more uncomfortable. It was a lovely experience. They are professional, they
They
are
are.
kind, they're gentle, they're wonderful. In and out in 5 minutes it was great. I really encourage people who've had any contact or any symptoms, or even asymptomatic, but they have underlying conditions, any reason at all. It was a really lovely experience. It's just that the software is really difficult, and I don't know why they make it so hard to get your results.
I agree.
We'll
Okay.
pass that on.
Thank you.
Tara?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tara.
Debbie is out of the office today, so she's asked me to come over. She typed up a letter. I don't know if you guys have
We all
received
we have it.
And we're asking if the courthouse can be open for early voting starting May 26th
When
for
I
absentee board.
got your letter, I did some checking on the state side to see exactly what, and I did have a response back from David Bottlehoff at AIC, who was checking for me, and he sent me an email from the Bartholomew County Clerk, who had checked with this exact question with the Indiana Election Division. I'll just read it to you. I will say that their courthouse is not reopening, and only by appointments, which is the same thing that we're doing. The judges and commissioners asked her about voting and so on, so she contacted the Indiana Election Division, and what they told her was that they can designate another location as the office of the circuit court clerk. And needless to say, that's what they're doing, so they're going to have another location away from the courthouse to comply with that one part about voting. So I thought I'd pass that on to you. I don't know whether you
Could
talked to the
that
election
be
division
the
or
Coleman
not.
Center,
It could be the Coleman Center,
which is
yes.
already open, so
Right.
could you do a current early voting site and designate that the office of the clerk
Clerk.
and make that the courthouse site as well?
That would satisfy all that since we're closed there also.
I think that's the way to
That would leave
go.
your office open to be able to handle all the direct mail that you're getting back in on votes from absentee ballots, to be able to process those.
So,
Well, except it's been widely advertised, and there's no bus service to the fairgrounds. I think, since we sent those
Yeah.
postcards out with, the tax bills.
Yeah, I'm not
we just
sure a lot of
widely
people read that.
advertised
we can send it, we can advertise this.
Because there is people that have called in, they would like to come to the courthouse.
Well,
this is,
it's the
we're in a
same way
pandemic
People want to come
too.
here to pay their taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've made all the arrangements
The
for
courthouse
people
is closed.
to pay their taxes and everything. It's-
Except there's no public transportation for Saturday voting.
Then those folks
would have to-
can vote in the other 5 or 6 days that it's available when we have all these sites in Richmond. You're gonna have First English Lutheran again, you got the Baptist Church again. So it's not that they're being deprived.
Well, is there bus service to First English?
Well, it goes right by there, all the buses do on Main
So
Street.
instead of Coleman, could we do First English?
They'd have to double check to see.
And the other thing is by state law, the courthouse is supposed to be open on Saturday. We have to have a vote center and.
What I'm explaining to you, that's what I just read to you,
So
so
I'm
you
just
would
letting you know.
understand what I'm telling you. What they have found out is the Indiana Election Division said you can designate another area as the office of the circuit court clerk. Doesn't have to be in a courthouse.
For this emergency only.
Right.
The question, of course, is Saturday voting. I mean, it's down to that Saturday in April.
Not
May.
April.
May.
May.
I'm
30.
sorry, May.
Yeah,
It used to be April, now it's May. That's Saturday in May.
Yeah.
The only Saturday site would then be Coleman.
Yes.
Where it used
Or
to be
First
Coleman
English.
and the courthouse.
Or wherever, yeah.
It was the Coleman and court.
Right, so
Coleman
we're
and courthouse.
eliminating any Saturday voting availability that has public transportation.
Yes,
Is what we're doing.
yes.
And we only have one Saturday
Right.
this time.
This year, there's only one
I know Mary
Saturday.
Ann asked you to kind of check those numbers. Did you go back and see how many you had voted on that Saturday?
Right, how many people are we talking about? That's
We're not talking big numbers.
especially that Saturday. Now that we're down to discussing removal of Saturday voting access with public transportation.
Well, we're not, it's still gonna be available to folks. It's just a question of where that site might be.
Well, I think public transportation is a major issue here.
I guess I
If-
don't
if
see
it is,
that.
I don't,
I don't know
I
how
don't
many
see that
people
as a
are talking.
I don't
major
see
issue
that
at
as a
all.
How
problem
many
at all.
people voted at the courthouse on a Saturday?
And on Saturday in 2016, we had 47.
And how many of them
And that's
came
a
by public
presidential
transportation?
election.
Yeah, that was the
But we
You
deal.
had
have a
47
bigger-
people. It's not gonna be a problem. I don't think.
I
You,
just think we
Denny?
need
No,
to,
I think it's,
at the courthouse, 47 people on a Saturday.
yeah.
Yes,
How
that
many
was in
came by public
2016, but that
transportation?
was a smaller ballot. We have a bigger ballot this year too, so.
That was a
Every
presidential,
election
this is
varies.
a presidential, yeah.
very-
So I would suggest, and I don't know if this is, that the courthouse remain closed, and that's our prerogative to do that, and suggest that
Coleman
Coleman
or you- or-
become the designated clerk's office for that Saturday
Or
as,
even check with First English Lutheran.
now
I
sometimes
think on
Saturdays.
Saturday, I think you could easily do it there at the church on
Well,
Saturday.
sometimes Saturday's a problem at First English.
Oh,
but
it is?
Yes,
Yeah, sometimes they have funerals and weddings.
yes, and,
But they shouldn't have it this time, but we can check and see.
okay. And I would say, leave it up to you to check, to choose between First English or Coleman as the clerk's designated office on that Saturday to comply with the special provisions of the law that allows this now. The courthouse is going to stay closed,
Okay.
okay?
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Steve, you're up.
Oh, what about training? Tara,
That's gonna be at the Coleman Center.
we hadn't discussed that.
They've, the election board already.
It's not our
voted
call.
They're gonna do it out at Coleman Center, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many people are involved in that training?
The election board decided to have training at the Coleman Center, and we're having the clerks and judges training at the same time in that one room. And there's 25 people in each group.
So there'll only be 25 people at a time?
Well, there would be a total of 50 because you're having your clerks train at one time and the judges.
And there's plenty of room out there for them to spread out and
So
do
you'll
the
be in the
social
big
distancing
room?
and everything.
In the big room.
Not in the
Yeah.
foyer, but there'll be 25 people in the big room at a time.
There'd be 50
50
total.
at a time.
All
Because you've
total.
got 25 clerks coming, you got 25 judges coming. So we may have to end up moving, having one group in Coleman and having another group in Tom Raper Center.
Yep.
Yeah, because this is before the 100 group
Yes,
is allowable.
yes.
I think
100
your
group
election
is in
board has
stage
it.
2, and we're in stage 1.
Yeah, you have it well under control, I think, don't you? Through what your election board's doing and your polling? That you know exactly what you're gonna do, you're in good shape?
Yes, yes. We're going to be
Easily-
cleaning, and we're going to be
Right.
spacing them apart.
And they have to be trained at exactly the same time?
Yes,
They
for the,
couldn't be different times?
wait, the vendors can only be here on one day, so we need to do it all in one day. So,
I mean, you couldn't have the judges leave and have others come in? It has to be at exactly the same time?
it's for the floaters, yes, because they're going to be trained on both the judges and the clerks at the same time.
But they will be in different buildings.
Right.
If that's what they,
If
if
that,
that's what
if the
they
election
decide to
board
do, it's
redoes
not
it.
our call.
Well,
Right, that's the
It's not our
election-
call. Let's
that's the
let 'em do their
election
job.
Board's
It's
call.
up to the
Yeah,
election board.
Right, that's their responsibility.
okay, but they won't be violating the
No.
rules on our property.
Well, we've given them plenty of space out there. I mean, like you say, if they have to use Raper, they'll use Raper and they'll use Coleman. So they're gonna be, they get spread out over 20,000 square feet, so it's not gonna be a problem. Do you see any problem? I don't see any problem at all.
Well, we're going to be over 25 people in stage 1. So the election board's going to need to go back and revise it. Revise it.
Well, if you're in two separate buildings, you won't be over.
No, if we're in two separate
Right.
buildings, we'll be okay.
You'll be fine,
We'll be fine.
Okay,
yeah.
so there won't be 50 people in one gathering?
No, if
No.
we're in two buildings, we'll be okay.
Okay, because it's our property and it's our, oversight.
Okay, thank you, Tara.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Steve?
Courthouse HVAC project, we're continuing to work on the issues that were identified in the punch list walkthrough last week. The jail bond project, we did have a progress meeting yesterday, and the contractor has provided a schedule for work in the day pods. I'll not go through that, but it's pretty self-explanatory, starting right down there at the bottom, the construction schedule of what day room they'll be in, and when and how long they anticipate they will be in there. We did meet with the sheriff and the jail commander yesterday, showed them this schedule, and they agreed to it. They believe that with the jail population, they've got enough leeway that they can be moving prisoners back and forth between some of the other day pods to accommodate this work schedule. Obviously, this goes out through the end of the year, so if the jail population goes up, this may have to be altered, but this is the schedule that you're going to be working under. As you can see, it starts on May 26th, which is the day after Memorial Day holiday.
Okay.
The courthouse security equipment, you do receive bids here this morning. You'll be opening those at 10:30. And nothing new yet on the guardian ad litem project. I think with now the state in phase 2, they are starting to bring, the state is bringing employees back, as well as other parts of the state that's doing work outside of the buildings. This comes to you, this actually got start with the city. And since it involves 4th Street between the courthouse and the annex, recall that was vacated a couple of years ago. And so the city punted this over to the highway department. And since 4th Street is not a county highway, this came to you. And what this is, Comcast is wanting to upgrade the fiber that lies along the west-east side of 4th Street. As you know, 4th Street's not a street anymore. But they are requesting a utility cut approval to lay the fiber from South A Street between the health department and the annex. It'll go along South A Street, which requires an NDOT permit, and then it'll go north on what was 4th Street to just beyond the entrance of the EMA, the outside entrance to EMA. And my conversation with the company, most of the work will be done in the dirt area to the right of the sidewalk. They do an underground boring, so it's not a dig all the way through. They'll make a place at the corner of 4th and 8th Street, bore north approximately 400 feet, and then there'll be an opening for that to come up, and so that'll be in the grassy area where the opening of EMA is. Certainly the disruption of parking will be a little bit, but most of the work is off the paved area. No doubt there'll be some trucks parked there associated with this. The work would only take, they are indicating they hope to have it done in a day. I'm going to tell you 3 days.
Yeah, just in case.
Depending on stuff. And then.
Well, the good part about it, we're getting new
Yeah,
fiber cable in
upgrading
there.
the fiber.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the work will start once they receive your approval and NDOT's approval. They will mobilize in about a 10 to 14-day period after receiving the approval. Now, I'm suggesting this is similar to a right-of-way cut in the highway. I've given the contract that you've already been using with the highway department along the county roads. I can't see reinventing the wheel to make a curb cut, or not curb cut, a right-of-way utility work approval to just utilize the document that Mike Sharp normally signs. And you would just authorize me to sign the approval.
When do they propose to do this, Steve?
10 days to 14 days after you have approved it and after NDOT has approved it. So I can't tell you how long NDOT's process takes, but if you approve it today, I'll send it to them, and then theoretically they would be starting week after next, if NDOT gets theirs back.
They don't work weekends.
This company, I have no idea what my guess is they probably do, but
Could we request that they do this on a weekend?
I'll have the conversation with them to see if that's possible.
Would be far preferable to accomplish this on a Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, I'll ask that.
I would move for approval.
Second,
Unanimous.
Then the last item, had another request, and I think Valerie's due here a little later, but we had another request to cut the hay. Somebody wants to hay for grass at Gateway. I think last year you didn't want that, or I think somebody else was doing that, I'm not sure.
Gateway, I'm trying to remember.
Well,
Gateway?
We don't own the first quarter, 1,300 feet off of State Road 1.
Yeah,
That's
that's
owned by,
Beeson.
that's owned by
Yeah,
Beeson.
I'm talking about the grass area.
That we do
Back,
own, yeah.
back for
Yeah,
the,
that back
so,
area.
is it Beeson that wants to do it? Do you know? Because if it's Beeson, it's
You want
continued.
to ask Valerie when she gets here, because she's the one.
Okay.
Sure, because if it's him, then I'd be okay with it,
Sure.
because he's doing it anyway.
but what is their proposal?
They want to cut the hay.
They'll cut
the
the-
grass for hay.
Right, yeah.
It's
How
not,
many times?
it depends on the summer.
So they want to cut the grass at no cost in exchange for the grass?
I don't know the particulars. My question is if you are interested in doing that beyond what you have done in the past. If you want more particulars, you probably ought to ask Valerie when she gets in.
So there'd be no cost to the county to keep the
I
grass?
said, I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't talk to the person. Valerie was simply making the request to see if in fact
We'd be
you have
interested,
that interest.
right, yeah.
because at this time, the highway is mowing the gateway.
Even the big grass area. I know they mow the right of way.
Well, they mow the right of way, but the other, we've kind of let that just grow up.
I
Yeah.
think Mike mows it a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Where's the grass they want to mow? Hey,
It's the unsold lots at the gateway. There's approximately what?
It's 60 acres.
Yeah.
There's 2 lots, 30 and 30, so,
I've got them on the screen right here.
That's
These
what
2
it
lots
is.
right here. This lot is not ours.
Yeah, it's-
These 2 are.
It's this.
right.
Yeah. Actually, it's all that.
Yes, yes.
And again, in the past, you've not been interested in cash renting that or even making that available, so.
Well, let's hear what Valerie has to say. I mean, I don't want to make a decision before she gets
Yeah, in
here.
the past,
That's
she's
what
kept
Mike's
that.
doing. Let's ask Mike and Valerie, yeah.
And that's all I have.
That's it. Well, Mike Sharp's not due till 10:45, so we're,
We got bids to open in 5 minutes.
yeah.
Kenny, there's your bid
Okay.
tabs.
So the courthouse will not be open the last Saturday in May, but it will be open the week for weekday voting. Is that what we decided? It'll be closed for all voting?
It would be closed, right, and they would go someplace else.
So no voting at all in the courthouse? Well, that's a long-standing tradition, Cumberland.
Well, this pandemic is a unusual situation that we're in currently at this time. And our goal is still to keep all of our
Who's our
folks as safe as
consultant on
possible
this?
currently.
Steve? Huh?
And
So all we know is there
We
were
had a
47 votes
contractor
cast on that
helping
Saturday, but we
DLZ
don't know how
lay
many
this
votes
out.
were cast.
Who
No, I
was
don't.
the contractor that was the consultant?
Probably.
But they got plenty of places.
No,
Randy.
there
It's
was-
not like they
there
don't
was
have
a-
any place to
But
go.
I'm not worried about the
Yeah.
weekday
The people
vote.
that compete
I'm
with
surprised there was that many votes cast on that Saturday. I was expecting it to
Wasn't
be
AM.
fewer than that, frankly.
They didn't have a bid from them. I don't think they bid. They, Accurate Controls, never heard of them.
They got more than
Automation
3 bids, I
systems.
think.
Okay, they're the ones that helped us out, okay. Never mind.
Once you start ripping them open, Denny.
And the deadline to receive bids was at 10 a.m. and there are no more bids.
Okay. The first bid we have is from Security Automation Systems. Do you know if there'll be one final number in here we need to read out or not? Several
No, I
numbers?
don't think we should.
Okay, what we'll do, Ron, I know you like to look, see if everything's here. This is from Security Automated Systems Incorporated.
Move it
Ron, look on the front of the envelope and see where they're from.
Indianapolis?
Thank you.
What we will be doing on all these bids, we will be taking those under advisement. We have folks with us from DLZ here today. If there's any contractors here that want to look at the bids, why, they will be available next door in our office. The next bid is from Accurate Controls Incorporated. They're from Ripon, Wisconsin. Next one is Stanley Security, and Stanley is out of, I'm sure, Indianapolis.
Mr. President, I move we take the bids under advisement pending a recommendation from DLZ and Steve.
Okay?
Second.
Unanimous. As I said, as soon as Ron looks through on here, the bids will be available. DLZ will have them. And we'll go next door in our conference room. You can go out the back door and go right straight over, and they'll be available for any contractors that would like to look at them.
You did the walkthrough with these bidders, didn't you, Ken? Or did you also do?
No, I didn't. They were here. They did a pre-bid, and they had five companies, Steve, that were here for the walkthrough. There were five that did the walkthrough.
But only 3 actually
And
did.
3 bid. So that's pretty good, really.
Of course, the desire to have this security upgrade was crafted prior to the pandemic. I think as we are anticipating possible delays in revenue and possible shortfalls or reductions.
Remember, this is all going to be a jail bond project. Most
For
of it
the
will
annex
be.
and the health department and,
Most of it is, and a lot of it
Well,
is, it's connected, it's all
We'll have to
connected.
break that down, but the
Right.
connectivity,
it is my understanding that the health department, the annex, and the court department, other than the connectivity portion, will have to be funded elsewhere.
that's correct.
Without looking at the bids, numbers, I would guess that significant portion of that would have to be funded through other revenue sources.
Well, the bid documents were prepared so as we could identify those incremental costs and just have to wait
And see
and see
till,
the analysis of all those plans.
I guess what I'm
I know.
saying is that we may
no,
have to
I'm
put the
sorry.
pause button on
like
this.
a look, yeah.
Because, what we were thinking
Right,
in
it's
December and January has taken on a little less luster since March, April, and May.
That's correct.
Congratulations, you're ahead of schedule.
I did make it ahead of schedule, didn't I? Mike, I tell you what, we'll take about a 10-minute recess here. I'm sorry.
I've got the, our dailies if you want the copy or if you'd rather not touch the copies, it's up to you.
I'm not afraid of you.
It's a book. So daily work, been working on brush cutting, sweeping throughout the county. We did get, still working on some additions. Most additions are done. We're just kind of going back. So as we've got most of them all done, but there's still some places where cars park in the streetway. So we're sending that broom in there periodically just to recheck if they move the car. That way we can kind of hit those spots, and working on the bridges right now. So basically everything's done. It's just kind of cleaning up in the additions where cars are parked, so as people see it on TV, if they kind of move the cars and not park them in the same spot, then we can kind of go in there and get those cleaned up as we're working on the bridges. I've been working on hauling stock, doing some ditching, installing culvert pipes and driveway pipes, painting equipment, doing some tree cleanup from storms, coal patching, shoulder work, hauling some concrete for stock. Did a couple of different fence poles in the county and the right of way. Graded and gravelled the gravel roads, working on mowing the industrial park, gravel in the pipe cuts, the outpost, which is up at Williamsburg and over at Frontage. Those are all filled with salt and sand, and then all of our stockpile of all of our salt. We're all full in all of our salt barns, so we're ready for next winter as that comes up. We got our bid put in for next winter as far as salt back in March, so I think we got 600 tons for that. Did some guardrail fixing on some bridges. The Economy Road, we did get it paved, and then they got it opened up yesterday. So Economy Road, where they put the new bridge in up there, it's open and got traffic running on it, so turned out very well. And then we've been working on a hill cut on Clydola Road. And then I never did get back with you. There was a Bruce Mikesell that had sent you an email and so forth. Just want to let you know we did take care of his issues, and
Oh, thank
I
you.
talked to him, so he's very pleased with everything that
Thank you, Mike.
went on there. So I want to let you know about that. The other one was there's Dave Newman. He lives at 405 Woody Drive. I don't know if that's something you want to look at on the screen.
Yeah, I'll find it.
We've had this issue come up in the past. It actually goes back to 2005, I think. Yeah, December of 2005. It's going to be 405 Woody Drive.
Do you need property lines, Mike?
No, it's going to be more than roadway. So this is just south of 40, or it's on north of 40, I'm sorry. We moved this up just a little bit. This is Woody Drive, which is a road, comes in off of 40. I think it's Cummins Electric out here on the corner. But anyway,
Jeez, I'm sorry, Mike, this is just so slow. So
it dead ends back here. Property owner that called in, I believe, lives, I think like right here, and there's another house in the back here. But anyway, this goes back December 2005. The person in the back had called in, said that there was a tree that was down blocking the roadway or whatever. I was the one that actually went there to look at it. It was a tree limb, small tree limb. I didn't use a chainsaw. I threw it off the side of the road. We could come back and pick it up later. The person in the back called in and they were upset that we left the tree limb there. I explained that we would be paying out later, whatever, it's just all side roads, out of the roadway and so forth, it was opened up. They got pretty nasty. When I started doing some looking though, I found out this section of roadway had never been brought into the county system. So I think it's still owned by T&C Development, and so they wanted this in the system. Make a long story short, basically the curve here and all back, that never did get put into the county system when they developed this property or put these homes in. But when they got nasty with me, we decided, you know, we're not gonna maintain it anymore, for those reasons. I think it may have been Steve, I think wrote a letter or told the property owner back in June of 2006, that they had to bring it, TNC Development would have to have a petition to Wayne County to bring it into the system and so forth. So that's kind of where it stood at until I think the new owner, Dave Newman, has a drainage problem and wants the county to take care of it. He understood that, you know, it's not in our system or whatever, but wants to know what it would take to be brought into the system. So I'm guessing we still stay in the same place. TNC Development would have to petition that with a letter.
TNC Development even exists anymore.
Well, that's,
I think I looked at this, and it's starting to sound a little bit.
This is a real old subdivision that the developer no longer is available for whatever reason.
I don't know who's paying taxes, if anybody, on that.
This part of the road system was never brought up to county spec, so it's never brought into the county road system. So
When the road was built, did the developer build it to county specs in the beginning?
Well, there's no turnaround in the back. I think Woody Drive goes on across, and I think eventually they thought they would take that on through, but it goes through a wooded area and kind of steep embankments. And I just don't think the money was there to ever develop it at that point in time, and they just never did.
But the property owners could form a neighborhood association and build, and bring it into county specs through their own collective fundraising.
the question is, you know, is who owns it? We certainly don't own it.
Yeah.
The property owners don't own
I
it.
think it's still, if you could click on the road area, it's still got a name of who would own that area.
Okay, let me,
Can you tell who's paying taxes, Denny?
Steve, is that near our
Yes,
2 or
I
3
can
lot
tell.
subdivision that we?
the road is owned by TNC Development Incorporated.
And that's who it was back in 2006.
And this is actually in the Richmond's 2-mile fringe too, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
subdivision falls under the city's planning commission. Obviously, it's our roads in here, but any approvals or anything like that is the city's planning commission.
But our road,
We have not been maintaining it since 2005.
It's in the county, but we've never accepted that portion of the roadway into our system.
could we deem that Richmond's road? If it is, could be
No, we
Richmond-
can't do that.
Not in the city limits.
Well, but, I mean, we have, you know, there are roads, within the 2-mile fringe, there are roads that the city maintains. in
No,
the
there's
2-mile
not. There's
fringe.
roads they can control, but they don't maintain them. They're not
Well,
there.
In the 2-mile fringe, we still maintain and control the roads.
Right.
And I don't think the city would take it.
This is a typical problem of what happens when the developer doesn't build the road to the county standards.
Right.
We never accept the road into our
Right.
system, and then the developer moves on. And they're leaving the property owners with this dilemma.
Sure. And if
And
I
so-
recall, Mike, that's a narrow road back into there. I've
Right.
been through that area.
Yeah, it's pretty
And-
narrow all the way
Yeah,
through
it's pretty
there.
narrow. That's kind of like an old gravel road, you know, that eventually kind of got paved, and in the meantime, some folks have built back there.
And if they had not gotten nasty with me and I knew what the situation was because I was there personally, I probably wouldn't have ever looked into it and thought we maintained it and kept on maintaining it, but it, you know, they kind of got under my skin, I guess you could say. And
Really?
And now you're mad.
But there's nothing to keep them from forming a neighborhood association and raising the money to build the road to county standards.
That's correct, but the cost to them to do that, they're not gonna do that. That's what, a quarter of a mile there, Mike?
it's probably not even that
Not
long.
quite that much?
And he understood, I think this Dave Newman lived there back in 2005, 2006 when this all happened. All the property owners are still the same. He wasn't worried about us not doing the snow removal and so forth. He said he had a 4-wheel drive truck and so forth. I think now it just came to where now he's got a ditch problem and needs it ditched out and would rather somebody else ditch it rather than him paying somebody to ditch the road. So he's kind of wanting to know, okay, what's my steps to do it? And I said, well, I would take it to commissioners to re-find out, make sure everybody's still on the same pattern or if there's another change that you would like to see.
Yeah. Well,
Did you see if taxes are being paid for that company?
Yeah, I can check that.
Because certainly they're being assessed.
Yeah. Let me click on the road and we'll see.
And that's you have to go north just a little bit,
Oh, a little bit further north? Okay.
the other north.
I know.
way past that Y.
Yeah,
there.
right in there.
There you go.
Oh, they have it listed as a public roadway.
Yeah, so there's
taxes being
no
assessed.
assessment on it at all.
Well, that's not good.
Not a public roadway.
It is the public right-of-way, public road / right-of-way. So I don't know. Obviously, nobody's paying taxes on it.
Sure.
If it's a public road, though, that's probably a legal term, Ron, public road. Doesn't mean that because it's a public road, doesn't mean it's a county road, is that correct?
I can't account for the way the assessor's assessing it.
Yeah, I know, I don't
It's
understand.
really
that.
not a public roadway from the evidence that we've seen today. So the property owners are getting a free ride to the extent of their share of that right of way.
How many acres does that show there?
.88.
Point what?
88.
Oh. What a free ride.
Yeah, .88.
So I guess, Mike, what you're asking us here today is whether we want you to do something about it or not, basically.
Well, do we want to maintain that
Do you
road?
want it to come into the county system and what would be,
Well, it would, that road's not up to the county system. And so if we wanted to bring that up into the county system, those folks living along there, I think, are not going to pay the cost that it would be to bring that up.
probably be
meet
cheaper to
county.
hire somebody to clean the ditch out than it would be to.
That's right, that's right. And just leave everything alone. Because you're talking, what, $30,000, $40,000 or more? I mean, that's a,
Probably wouldn't be that much, but, you're gonna have to have right away, we'll have to have somewhere to turn around. I think in the past, you just kind of plow in and you gotta
Right.
back out and the safety factor of that and with the curve in there. And there's just not a lot of room. There's business back, I think the property owner on the back has a dog grooming business or a pet grooming business in the back.
So what we're saying is that we will take it into the county system if the homeowners upgrade it to meet our county standards. If not, then they'll have to take care of that ditch themselves.
Okay.
But is there an issue that the deeded owner is TNC Development?
Of the road, but not the ditch.
Oh, of the road.
Yeah.
But would TNC have to initiate the putting in the county system
Well,
if there is a TNC
we're not sure there is a
anymore?
TNC. We're not sure that there even is that entity any longer.
we're kind of at an impasse, I guess. It's, probably would be our recommendation to the individual, find somebody, clean the ditch out. Otherwise, the cost is gonna be considerably more than cleaning the ditch. by thousands of dollars, yeah.
I'll give them the option and
Okay.
kind of see where they want to go
All
from
right.
there.
All right, Mike, that's
They
good.
could probably, if they do decide to, then do they need to go through planning then to start that process, or city planning for the roadway even? Or,
It's an unusual case.
Yeah, this was one that was, I think it's, when this one plotted in the sixties.
probably,
Goes back that far. I mean, obviously, the rules have changed since then, so if this situation doesn't happen anymore. I think they'd have to start with city planning.
okay.
They split the project, they split in 2006 is when they split, but I don't know. 1997, they split as, again, too, so I don't know. Property records only go back to 2001.
Yeah, I'm talking about the actual plotting of
The road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, all right, Mike, tell 'em.
I'll start with there, and then if I
All
got
right.
more, I'll bring them to you. I got a couple bills from the engineering department, but didn't know, you guys want to sign those?
I'll sign.
What are they for?
One of them is for Clark Deeds, for work on a bridge, and the other one is for, some parcel of, buying parcel for a bridge.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, unanimous.
How are things going with your split shifts?
So far, so good, yeah. That was gonna be kind of my next question is if, you know, what the thought is on when you want to
Areas,
restart,
state.
or how you want to move forward, or if you would like to stay kind of where we're at now, or kind of what plans are.
I think, Mike, the discussion on bringing highway back 26th of May, does that ring a bell? Denny, I know you were working on that, and
That is the day after Memorial Day weekend.
And let's see, that May 26th, yeah, that's the beginning of Phase 3.
yeah. What we're looking at, Mike, yeah, I thought that's what it was, bringing you back on the 26th. And we're looking to bring the folks in here back on the 15th. You'll be
Monday
back,
is the
you'll be
16th.
back a little earlier. But we felt that with what you've been doing and everything, that you'll be able to keep the social distancing still going and everything, that we should be all right. And your folks are back, that we're on quarantine for a while, so your department appears to be in good shape right now. So
Okay.
You've done a good job. We appreciate everything that you've done, yes.
And then on the summer help, would that be appropriate to bring them back
That's
in?
council, and the last I heard on that, that was kind of on hold, that they hadn't moved on that at
It
all.
was on their list to be decided,
Okay, all right,
so
Okay,
I don't know what that meant.
yeah.
For obvious reasons, they absolutely don't understand. We can't be hiring part-time people while we got people sitting at home.
no, and I fully understand
All
that
right,
part.
okay.
I just didn't know once I brought the full-time back if.
That's a
if
good question. 'cause
Summer help.
ob-
I mean, a lot of them, all the ones that are coming back were here last summer. They're college kids.
Right.
So I don't want to leave them hanging too long if they need to look for other employment.
Employment, sure.
If we're not going to bring them on, I mean, they make money during the summer so they can pay for their college tuition, so.
If you would like, I will present that question to council for you. I'll pass it on to President Plaster this afternoon, that
Okay.
you're interested, that you're coming back to work, and what are they gonna do about the summer help? They were on hold with that.
Right. No, and I fully
Problems had to be
understand,
decided, yeah.
you know, if we're split shift, it doesn't make sense for that part, but if we do bring back full parts, I just kind of want to let them know so they can plan, you know, if they're going to be coming back, or if not, so they can
All right.
get their college tuitions.
I will do that this afternoon.
Okay.
And that was
Um,
the essence of their discussion at last week's council meeting, that it made no sense to bring on part-time summer help as long as the split shift, you know, reduction
Sure.
in force was in place.
Sure. No, I totally
So
understand
that
that part.
was the essence of council's
I think they'll
discussion.
probably authorize you to bring a part-time in.
Because,
Okay.
That's
you know,
my guess,
the
yeah.
grass does not stop growing during a pandemic.
Right, right. Okay,
All right, sir.
that's all I had.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. All right, Mary Ann, Wayne County drug-free.
Okay. I'm going to have to remove this mask. I feel so muzzled. If at this time we'd like to call on the Drug-Free Wayne County Partnership delegation to come forward, first of all, to the closest podium to you, and then when we have a picture. But at this time, I would like to recognize the Drug-Free Wayne County Partnership that has been an important part of Wayne County since 1987. Come on up. Well, good morning and congratulations for all that you do for the people of Wayne County to make this a healthier and safer place to live, work, and thrive. Thank you so much. I have here a proclamation for the Drug-Free Wayne County Partnership for this, the National Prevention Week, May 10th to 15th, throughout Wayne County. Whereas the Drug-Free Wayne County Partnership has served the substance abuse and mental health educational and awareness needs of the people of Wayne County for 33 years, and whereas the Drug-Free Wayne County Partnership is an important partner in the nationwide network of the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, serving the nation's needs in this vital area, and whereas that administration, known as SAMHSA, has established May 10th to 15th of this year as National Prevention Week to call attention to 3 primary goals throughout the United States of America. And whereas the first goal is to involve communities in raising awareness of substance abuse and mental health issues and in implementing prevention strategies and showcasing effectiveness of evidence-based prevention programs. And whereas the second goal is to foster partnerships and collaborations with federal agencies and national organizations dedicated to improving public health. And whereas the third goal is to promote and disseminate quality substance use prevention and mental health promotion resources and publications. And whereas each day of this week calls into attention one of these concerns, prevention and prescription drug and opioid misuse on Monday, underage drinking and alcohol misuse on Tuesday, illicit drug and youth marijuana use today, youth tobacco use including e-cigarettes and vaping tomorrow, and the prevention of suicide on Friday. Now therefore be it proclaimed that National Prevention Week be celebrated throughout Wayne County, and we call upon all the citizens of Wayne County to join with us and the Drug-Free Wayne County Partnership in commemorating the importance of the above stated goals. So I would like Megan and her board of directors to come forward. I will remask. And ask my fellow commissioners to join me in the presentation of this proclamation, and ask you to go forth and continue to serve this important mission. Megan, thank you very much. Our Executive Director of Drug-Free Wayne County. Thank you so much.
We'll give you an elbow.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll give you an elbow, all the way down. All the way. We'll give you an elbow.
Thank
You get a picture?
Thank you so
Turn
much.
around and. Here, let's smile. Good.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Megan. Keep up your important work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Was that 5 minutes on the dot?
Well, that was
Pretty
short.
close.
Sure was.
Thank you
We
for
are.
coming early.
Ken,
Sir,
did you run by Valerie the fact that you're going to be utilizing the elder building for
I have, and she is talking to the insurance people also, yeah.
All those well-endowed investors will come through to be tested and give us some nice exposure. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, if you look at price per square foot.
Hey, we're ahead of schedule. We're ready for you anytime.
I miss Elder Bierman so much.
Okay, thanks.
It's available online, I guess, but I don't know if that's just something I bought the name out.
I'll see that
My
the,
guess is that's what that
I don't see the sheriff out there right now. I'll go open the door for you. Okay. Uh-huh.
Is she out there?
Oh, is that
She,
Valerie?
yeah, she's just pulling in, okay. I don't
wish
see
Doug
Doug
had a
out there,
buzzer
so I
or
don't know
something.
where he stepped away
Can we
to.
get Doug
We'll wait
a
for a couple hours.
bell?
Well, while we have a small pause here, I will again iterate to our viewing audience on there that we're moving the COVID-19 testing site that was located at the Armory down to the Elder Behrman building on Monday. So anybody that's interested in being tested, you can go there. The news articles will say they like for you to call for an appointment or set it up, but you can do walk-ins, and it's very easy, so we encourage you to go there on Monday, and
that starts Monday?
starts Monday, they'll be there Monday, and so we encourage you to go on Monday to Elder Behrman, and if you have any doubts, go in there and get tested. That's what they're here for, to do that. So we encourage you to go to Elder Behrman's on Monday and get tested for COVID-19 if you have any doubts at all. If you've had any of the systems, remember you can be asymptomatic, which means you have no symptoms, but you still could be a carrier. That's why we recommend to you when you're out in the public that you wear these masks. I've had a lot of emails from folks say, how can you demand that I wear a mask out in public? And I tell folks that we don't demand that you wear that. We're recommending to you that for the safety of other folks that you do wear these masks when you're out in public on there, and because you never know whether you're asymptomatic or not on there. So we would encourage you to do that in the future. And Val, we're ready for you. Come right on up.
All right.
Hey Valerie, go to that one. Go to that one.
Oh, sorry.
You want to share this? She's clean, boss.
She's clean? Okay.
Checked out.
You took her temperature and everything, huh?
You first in the
You
dirt.
passed muster.
Germ-free.
So Beth, do you mind passing?
Thank you.
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen you all.
Yes, ma'am, it has been.
Pleasure to be here. I'm passing out, or Beth's passing out the EDC's board packet from Monday afternoon. Marion was present via Zoom for our board meeting. Financials were significantly under budget through April. A lot of that's due to not being able to travel and fulfill our business development schedule for the year. But things are looking good budget-wise. One important action that was taken that I want to share with you, you are getting a map that's being passed out. That map shows Lot 2 and Phase 2 of the Midwest Industrial Park.
The board voted to approve the sale of 15.5 acres, that is the southern part of that lot, to Element 13. Element 13 intends to build a 50 to 60,000 square foot aluminum billet manufacturing plant. And they also have obtained the right of first refusal for the 17.5 acres north of that 15.5 acres as well for future expansion plans. So they have a 5-year right of first refusal. So if we should receive an offer from another party, they would have the first right to buy that lot instead.
Very good.
With the understanding that they would have 2 years to develop it. Otherwise, the EDC would have the right to buy the land back at the same price, just to make sure that they're buying it with development plans, not just to hold the land and keep someone else from buying it. So, very positive project for Wayne County. They're looking at creating 30 jobs at a minimum starting wage of $18 an hour, average wage of $20.55 per hour. They have received tax abatement approval from the City of Richmond, and we will be considering an edit grant later on. So just
Very
wanted to
good.
give you a heads up on that.
Excellent.
I do want to talk to you today about the EDC's strategic plan. I gave an overview, which you have a PowerPoint presentation that I provided to my board. I know I don't have a lot of time today. That's why I've given this to you. I know Mary Ann sat through it, talking about how we really use the implementation plan from our 2014 strategic plan as our North Star over the last 5.5 years. We have fulfilled all of the strategies within that implementation plan with the exception of one, and that was to create a capital fund for stage 2 and stage 3 companies. As I explained to the board, we really don't get involved in financing a whole lot. It's never requested to assist with financing, so the need for that capital fund has not arisen. Therefore, we've never pursued it. But each of you have received electronically the proposal from 80 Advantage to move forward with our new 5-year strategic plan. So I would like to field any questions that you might have about that process today. The EDC board did vote to approve this proposal from 80. It's about a 20 to 22 week process we would be going through. The initial phases would be primarily conducted from afar. We would have some Zoom meetings. They would do a lot of desktop review, and that with the hopes that later on this summer they would be able to do their field visits to Wayne County to meet in person with stakeholders, talk about the needs of the community, and then also tour our assets and amenities, buildings and sites, so they had a better understanding of our strategic position to attract and retain business. The total cost of the proposal is $50,000. If you recall, in 2014, we did the Cadillac plan. It was around $70,000 plus travel. So I knew this time around that we were looking at a reduced cost. I have been able to allocate $25,000 from the EDC's operating budget and contractual professional services. And then we do have the wherewithal to cover any additional travel expenses through our travel, lodging, and meals line item through operating. So what I would like to ask of the commissioners today would be your support and an additional $25,000 from the Consolidated Edit Fund in order to move forward with this strategic plan proposal.
So moved.
I certainly second that, and I did forward this recommendation to the commissioners immediately after reviewing this and Monday's EDC board meeting, which I attended electronically, and I want to applaud you for this. Obviously, a lot of work has gone in with 80 Advantage going into this, and I feel that this will well position. Having had this experience with these strong people who gave you good guidance over the last number of years, will certainly set a well-lit course going down the road into the next series of years. I'm very impressed with how much of the strategic plan was able to be accomplished. So often well-laid plans go awry, but by taking this retrospective over what was able to be accomplished from the strategic plan that was crafted. It's hard to believe it's been it's been 5 years in effect. It's hard to believe it's gone by so fast. So I very enthusiastically second that, and I enjoyed very much the discussion that your board had on this on Monday.
Thank you.
And
Motion approved.
I think we also, I move that we authorize the movement of $25,000 from the consolidated edit fund.
Denny
did I
did
do?
move,
What
you
did I
did
just
second, and I approved it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more thing on my list today. As I'm sure you're aware, there's been a lot of discussion among the community in terms of how we help our small businesses recover from the impacts of COVID-19. And where's Jeff at? Okay. I'm going to ask him to speak up as well and kind of partner with me on this. But the EDC, we've been really engaged with the Chamber of Commerce and our partners at the Wayne County Foundation and the Tourism Bureau. And as a group, we've been talking regularly about how we can further assist our business community. I included Jeff Plaster in several of those conversations and as a member of the Wayne County Revolving Loan Fund Board. And then he engaged that entire loan fund board and brought up the opportunity for Wayne County to modify the guidelines of your existing loan fund. I've done a lot of research and have seen at least 20 different loan funds from all across the state that are typically existing loan funds. Some are new loan funds that are altered in order to help loan dollars in the form of either grants or loans to small businesses to make sure that they have the resources that they need to get up and running. We know that they have faced many financial hurdles, and we want to make sure that those businesses can reopen and that they'll reopen successfully and will be with us for many, many years. Our small businesses are the heart of Wayne County. That's what makes us unique through our local retail and restaurant options, and so we really want to look at ways in which that we can continue to support them. So through Denny and Jeff's leadership, they have called the Loan Fund Board together to consider modifying the guidelines of your existing fund. So Ron, help me out here today. I think we're asking for the commissioner's endorsement of modifying the loan fund in order to finalize what would be new guidelines to open it up to businesses in Wayne County that meet those guidelines to be able to apply for assistance.
I think what we're really asking for is a sense of, and I can prepare a resolution that would be tighter worded, but the guidelines themselves were not a creature of the ordinances in 1989 that created the revolving loan fund. The guidelines have been developed by the board, by the revolving loan fund board itself. I think what the board would feel comfortable about would be knowing that if they choose for a temporary basis, and I say temporary, I think Jeff and I talked about certainly sunsetting anything at the end of this year, but between now and then to encourage the board to adopt perhaps more lenient borrowing standards as it would relate to loan availability based upon per job retention or creation, things of that nature. The whole concept of the revolving loan fund itself is that it has been a lender of last resort. And typically that means there may be a cooperative relationship between a primary lender who's willing to assume a certain level of risk and then the revolving loan fund that supplements the bottom end of that and makes the project a go project. And obviously, to the extent that we take collateral to secure the revolving loan fund debt, that collateral interest is going to be subordinate to that of the primary lender. So all those things are still matters that we would look at, but I think we're talking about a relaxation, and I don't think we're, at least at this point, intending to subject the entire $400,000 plus funds on deposit in the fund now to this program. But I don't know, I'll let Jeff and Val maybe fill in on what that. But presently, for instance, our protocol says that we will make the interest rate equal to half of the national prime or 3%, whichever's less. So it's 3%. National prime doesn't really exist anymore, I don't think.
Zero.
Negative.
But there's several of us that are involved in this
Yes.
who think
And
there should be
I
no
think the
interest
thought
at
would
all.
be that we would lower that interest rate to either 0 or 1%.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's-
there's consensus among the committee as to what.
I don't think we've reached consensus yet.
But again, we're not asking the commissioners to set those guidelines and those credit evaluation criteria that the regular board engages in with every application that it gets. There will be structure though to the application process, and I think Jeff could probably better explain what that structure would be. I think my understanding is that we're not going to allow businesses that received paycheck protection, federal assistance to participate in this project, similar to the limitation that the city is placing on their grant fund availability from the Okra grant that they got. I believe it was $250,000. So, Jeff?
I would just say that we are attempting to work with several different parties to pool resources, one being the Wayne County Revolving Loan Fund, another being the EDC, another being the City of Richmond, and we're talking to some private groups to see if they're interested in participating. The Economic Growth Group, for example, we're having discussions with them. The issue that Ron points out, I think, is we want to make sure that the commissioners and the board for the revolving loan fund are kind of on the same page here as we try to move forward. There are a lot of moving parts at this point, and so there may be instances where two of the members of our partnership, for example, the city and the county, need to be on the same page as to how we go about this. As Ron alluded to, the money that the city got from Okra is going to be put out in the form of grants. Our conversations have been around putting these out in the form of low-interest loans to help finance that restarting of business operations. Some question as to whether the best option is no interest, 0% interest, or whether we want to have a modest 1% or 2% to keep things on a closer basis to how the loan fund has been operating in the past. So there's difference of opinion on the board. We're trying to sort through some of those things. The application process itself, as Val has alluded to, there are 12 or 15 of these programs throughout the state. They all have slightly different methods. One of the issues we're trying to sort through right now is, do we do it on a first-come, first-served basis, which would be the easiest way to get the money out quickly, or do we really analyze the applications and try to make it a merit-based decision based on perhaps how many jobs are potentially saved by this process? So there's a number of ways, a number of factors that need to be weighed, and time is of the essence. So we're trying to move as quickly as we can. Getting your buy-in to this process is really the first step so that we can move forward, get firmer commitments from our partners, and get this thing launched in the next couple of weeks.
One of the criteria might be, if they're identifiable, perhaps they would step up, would be those businesses that applied for the payment, the PPP, and were unsuccessful. You know, there was a rush and on the first round, and a lot were unsuccessful. And on the second round, the gates opened for quite a few. Do you have any sense for how many Wayne County companies were unsuccessful, not just on round one, but round two as well?
I don't think we do. We know that there are some. The bankers have some anecdotal information. Part of the issue, I think, with taking an unsuccessful application process from PPP is, why was it unsuccessful?
Right.
And it may be that it was unsuccessful for good reasons that we wouldn't want to extend the loan as well. So,
And I think we know the funds ran out too. With the
Exactly.
applications.
Right, no fault of their
Exactly.
own kind of application would be at the higher on the list than a faulty application.
but again, it gives you another whole application to analyze in addition to whatever we require. So there are, I would point out, we're working with the Small Business Development Center. Scott Underwood there
Good.
is working with us, going to help us with the scoring. So we have a lot of players. There are 3 bankers, I believe that's right, isn't it, Denny, on the
Yes.
board?
3.
And they have a lot of experience in analyzing applications, and we want to try to come up with a model that is not too complicated, that takes forever to make a determination, but that it asks pertinent questions, and we're making our best efforts to make sure that whatever businesses we are able to help, we'll be able to help them be successful moving forward.
Well, Jeff, there isn't any doubt in my mind this is an excellent program, and the pooling of the money makes a considerable number of dollars that are available out there to help local businesses we have here. I commend you and the other folks that have been working on this. The Chamber, I know, has been working with it, along with you, Val, to pool all the resources with the city's money. I look forward to you, and I certainly have confidence in you that the group will do it, and you will move as fast as you can with this in making these loans to local folks here.
I guess the other question, Ken, that we need your input as commissioners on, the loan board, I think, will make the decision on how much of the $400,000 that they currently have available would be used for this program. The EDC and the commissioners, I think, keeping council in the loop, will need to determine how much consolidated edit might be added to that mix, and Val's been talking to her executive committee, at least. Was that part of the board discussion
It was
yesterday?
part of the board
So-
discussion, and I had very favorable responses from the board that they would be willing to allocate dollars to this fund.
And of course, the city and private sources. Now, we're not just talking about consolidated edit, though. We're also talking about the possibility of some Wayne County edit being brought into the mix to extend our reach outside of the city of Richmond potentially. And one of the factors that we're trying to balance is, should all of the partners be equal investors in this process? Does it really matter? Do we just take as much as is available and work through that? So we're trying to look at all of those options, and also thinking through, do we need to keep a little bit back, keep our powder dry, and maybe come back for a round 2 at some point, because none of us has that crystal ball to know what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months.
Right.
And whether there's some kind of resurgence that requires a further tightening, who knows? At this point, we really don't. So we may come back later and say, okay, it's time for round 2. We need to add a little more fuel to keep.
Well,
this
you're
thing
right. We
moving
have no
forward.
idea what the feds are gonna do at this time. If you look at their $1 trillion package they're talking now, who knows how that will end up.
We will need to, as soon as we have, feedback from the commissioners and
Is
and
it
the
your
EDC
request
board.
that the commissioners sign off now and let the revolving loan committee make these decisions? I
I
agree,
think
and
that would
I
be
think
the-
that's the only timely
the
way to
most
do it.
timely.
Sounds good. You wanna make a?
I'll move for that.
All right.
Well, I'll bring a resolution to you next week.
Okay. Yeah,
we
all right.
don't know what we're signing off
If the
on.
consensus of the commissioners is they support this initiative.
Right.
The
whatever
concept.
this initiative ends up meaning in the devil's details, that's all we need for me to
For right
prepare.
Right. That'd be good.
Appropriately
Yeah.
worded resolution indicating your support, because the commissioners did adopt the ordinances that were the genesis of this back in 1985.
But we
And-
do not want to abandon our culture of economic development. We do not want to support companies, for example, that perpetuate the working poor. We do not want to support small business that create a whole lot of $7.50 an hour jobs, for example.
Well, now, just a minute,
I might-
just a
I
minute.
might
Remember-
disagree with that under current situations, yeah.
Also remember who we're
Some
talking
of the
about.
guidelines are that 51% of the workforce has to be low to moderate income.
Well, that's for the city's
The cities.
Okra grant.
Right.
That's not, doesn't apply to what the revolving loan fund does. But we're also talking about a lot of the small businesses that are in distress right now are the restaurants
Yeah.
and the barber shops and personal services kinds of things that do tend to have some lower wages. So
But
that,
should the tax dollar be used to perpetuate the working poor?
well, they're taxpayers too.
Right.
And so
I
are the
would think in
business
this
owners.
particular situation, those jobs are equally as important right now as some of the higher paying jobs. I don't want to see the small mechanic that might employ one or two people, fixes automobiles. I don't want to see him go out of business. I don't want to see the beauty shop go out of business. I don't want to see the one or two barber shops go out of business. And it's been very difficult for them right now, because they've had rent to pay, other expenses, and no income.
Well,
And
you have
those
to
would
look at it
be-
too, they're paying income taxes and property taxes, and
Right.
as those businesses shutter, so does your tax revenue
Right.
stream in the future. So even though some are lower paying jobs, they're still equally important to the
Right.
makeup of
Oh,
our
I agree.
economy.
Yeah.
So
I just
we'll
feel
have
that we
time to
should-
further discuss this, but what we really needed from you is permission to keep working on this, and hopefully
Agreed.
by next Wednesday, we'll have an outline that we'll be able to move forward.
Remember, I wouldn't get too hung up in the 0 versus 1%, because we always charge a 1% origination fee.
Right.
That gets deducted from the net proceeds of the loan available to borrowers, so they're
Okay.
paying that 1% up front. So whether you amortize the borrowing, the total amount over whatever period we agree to, is kind of not that significant.
All right, thank you for your input.
Good.
Thank
Good
you,
program.
and we'll move forward with it.
All
Thanks.
right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Val.
Well,
Yeah.
if you want to sign that, or does your board need further action on it? 52.5 cap, extended term.
I'll have to wait and make sure I'm able to sign this prior to the board approval.
Okay, then I'll keep it.
Okay,
If council sees the next.
okay, sounds great.
Okay, I don't have anything else today
That's
unless
it?
you have any questions.
Yes, we do. We understand that you were approached by someone who was desirous of mowing the Gateway Industrial Park.
Yes, they are interested in the hay, cutting hay.
We currently have an individual who's been mowing the Gateway Park in exchange for hay is kind of a euphemism for weedy grass.
Uh-huh.
Do you recall the name of that individual?
Jeff Adams, I believe.
Okay, well, that is different from the man who's been doing it for a number of years at no cost to the county. We're happy with that. The highway department would have to mow this at some expense to the county, but we're very happy with the man who's been doing it
Okay.
at no cost to the county, and we have no reason to terminate that agreement with the man who's been doing it for quite some time.
Okay, well,
So
I will
would
let
you be
this
kind
other
enough to
gentleman
let him
know.
that we have an arrangement that we're happy with, but, we appreciate his offer, but we have no reason to terminate the agreement we have at this time.
Okay,
When
Thank
when did we decide that?
Well, I think, why would we terminate that with?
Well, I thought it was we. It sounds to me like it's you.
Well, I mean, why would we terminate that
I
with?
think you talked to Mike during the break, didn't you? 'Cause
Yeah,
I-
were you out of the room when we talked to Mike about that?
Yes?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay,
w-
well,
I was too, yeah.
oh, I thought you were on here.
You talked to Mike
I
when we
mean, he
had
was
the,
right here before us.
well, that's when we had the break.
Oh,
and
you were
talked to
here?
him, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm listening, but if that's what we're doing over there now, and Mike's been very happy with that, I would concur that we should
So-
continue with that same
Okay,
individual.
So, wait a minute, we mow it now, and we got a guy?
No, we don't mow it.
Okay, we don't mow it.
One of our employees mows it on his, on weekends.
He does, he works off the clock?
He works definitely off the clock.
Well,
yeah.
is that legal?
Sure.
It's legal to
Yeah.
have an employee working off
He's
the
not
clock?
working for us, he's
Right.
got an agreement that
Oh.
He has
allows.
his own equipment.
And what's he do with the product?
He feeds it to his goats or something, I don't know. It's
So
not
he
good
cuts
hay.
hay as well?
He cuts the grass, it's not really
I
hay.
think it would be disingenuous if we tried to invite a bidding war among potential mowers and balers, because I don't think the quality of that product merits that.
It's weeds and grass, it's not hay. I mean,
So what's this guy want to do?
He just called, he saw my name on the sign at Gateway and asked, and left me a message asking who cuts the hay because he has cattle and he would love to have the opportunity.
And he would cut
cut
the
that.
hay and bale it and take it and feed his cattle with it,
Yes.
which is what our employee does now?
right.
Okay.
I mean, he works for the highway department, and he's been doing it, and Mike's happy with it.
So
and-
neither one of them are offering to pay us
No.
for the crop?
Well, I haven't called him back. I wanted to talk to you first to see if there was still an arrangement in place before finding
Oh, I
out if he
thought
wanted to make an
I
offer.
thought he was gonna do it for free. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I suppose we're obligated to see if he's gonna pay us for grass.
Yeah, would you,
I'll find out and send you an
All right.
email.
Ask him
Send us
how
an
much
email.
he would pay us for that weedy grass.
Okay,
okay,
all right.
thank you.
Will do.
All right. All right, thank you, Val.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
I'm sorry, I thought you were both here when
We weren't here
talking
at
to
the time,
Mike.
I
that's
missed
fine. Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, Denny, anything else?
Nope.
Mary Ann, anything else?
Nope.
I would close by encouraging folks again that we're moving the COVID-19 testing site to the Elder Behrman Building. Plenty of parking there, and if you can't get through on the computer or the telephone, they will take walk-ins, so just walk right down there or drive down, go to Elder Behrman and be tested for COVID-19. Thank you
don't even
very
need a
much.
coupon.
A reminder that real estate taxes and
Oh,
personal
yes.
property taxes were due May 11th, contrary
To what the governor,
to the spin that some social media has put on it. Admittedly, no penalty attaches until.
right.
Taxes were still.
I'm sure you all heard that taxes were due on May the 10th, although there was a delay, but we encourage you, and I would tell you that it's been very active. Folks have been in making their property tax payments. So if you haven't made yours yet, I encourage you to go ahead and make your tax payment on there. So
So
thank
we don't
you.
have to borrow money to
No,
make it through June and July.
we won't have to.
I know
We're
it,
in
but
good shape
do the
there. All right.
patriotic thing.
We'll adjourn by general consent.